Welcome back to my channel. I am your favorite mother of three, bougie vintage. And baby, Baddies was turning up yesterday, okay? Girl, we about to get into it because the episode's gonna feel long. Okay, the episode did feel long when I was watching it personally because I was stopping it. I was slowing footage down. It got crazy. So let's get into this video. Whenever I do Baddies, I'm going to be doing a pretty for a penny look. So I'm using mainly affordable products today. I might throw some things in there that shouldn't be in there, but it's because I have no choice. Oh girl, the face the facts emails are already pouring in. So obviously they started the episode off from what was taking place in the kitchen last, which was Sway getting knocked into the sink. And every time they play the clip of her getting knocked into the sink, I'm actually dying. Like, it's hilarious. Poor baby. She just got knocked into the sink. And yes, my nails are extra long today. I was just testing them out. These are press-ons, but they're not made with actual press-on nails. They're made with extendo tips, so it's giving Edward Scissorhands. Anyway, this, like, how does Cardi B function with her nails this long? Like, I can do like to right here, but this is way too long for me, but I love them. For primer, I have on Smashbox Primer Water. I think I put that on. And also my POREFESSIONAL primer by Benefit. For eyeshadow, I'm going to be using my Milani primer. So we start off where we last were, which was Sway getting knocked into the sink. And Krishan just kept yelling, "I'll clean you up. I cleaned you up, bitch. I cleaned you up, bitch." And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. I personally would have had to excuse myself from the show if that happened to me. Cause like I'm not staying for the rest of the time. Y'all have your fun. I'm out of here. It's too embarrassing. It really is. Sway is persuasion. Sway is obviously very upset that she got, you know, beat up. She wasn't expecting it. She's throwing stuff. They just got to the house. So for her to be carrying on this way is like, it's crazy. They haven't even been there for 24 hours and she's already flinging stuff. But that's because she got whooped. So in the last video, I talked about how, you know, it's clear that Sway is hating on Krishan. And we couldn't tell why, but she was about to tell on herself. I'm using the ColourPop Barbie palette. And right now, I'm taking Boardwalk, which is this pink color here, and we're gonna use it as a transition shade. So at this point, Sway starts to bring up Blueface, and it's like, why is she talking about Krishan's man? This all began because she was saying that Krishan was dirty, but it was like they just got there. Why is she accusing her of not cleaning up after herself? Like, it was confusing. Krishan is telling Sway that what she's doing is embarrassing, or that she's embarrassing herself. Sway starts saying that Krishan gets embarrassed by her man every day. And I'm like, though that was partially true, why is Sway bringing this up? So Rock then says to Sway, your body's an embarrassment. And then Sway starts to talking about how she looked at Rock like a little sister. She wasn't even trying to fight her, all this stuff. And I'm like, she did? Like, I didn't catch the vibe of little sis, big sis. Is that how you treat your little sister? You pick on her and tell her she's dirty? Like, what is tea? I couldn't believe this. Rock was like, no, you didn't. Like, what are you talking about? And I was feeling the exact same way. I'm like, you definitely were not seeing her like no little sis. And if you did, you were being a very mean big sister. Like, there was nothing cool about their vibe. Sway is clearly very embarrassed. It was coming out in her behavior because, again, she's throwing things. And now she's calling Rock an idiot. She's like, you're an idiot, bro. You're an idiot. And then she says that her $900 wig is not even worth fighting Rock over. Like, she's basically saying, like, she's paid. This is dumb. Blah, 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 blah. So at this point, you would expect the fight to stop. You would expect them to disengage, but that is not what happened at all. So because Sway's embarrassed, she starts talking about how she is too cute to fight. She's in confessional as well, saying these things. She's too cute to fight. Like, she's glad she didn't break one of her real nails because then she would really be pissed off. And it seemed as though she was kind of backing down, but you could tell she's talking about all these other things because she is embarrassed, and her embarrassment was definitely warranted. Because, I mean, if you knock me into the sink like I'm some Dawn dish liquid, I'm gonna have a problem. I'm going to be embarrassed. Like, I'm not even gonna sit here and play like I wouldn't be embarrassed in this situation, because I surely would have been. As the world turns, Sway starts talking about how she got sneaked. She's accusing Krishan of sneaking her. And I'm like, yeah, no, she definitely did not sneak you. Sneaking I think, would be coming from behind. It was clear that Krishan had an issue and was gearing up to fight. Sway had slow reaction time. So I wasn't sure why she kept saying that Krishan snuck her. It was false. So now, because she's accusing Krishan of sneaking her, she wants a fair one. She wants to fight. Now, she wants to square up. And I'm like, we've seen Krishan fight before. We know she is a problem. I'm personally just gonna cut my losses. I'm not gonna enter the ring again because Krishan clearly has hands. And even though we know Sway has hands as well, sometimes your hands just aren't as good as your opponents. You know, somebody has to lose. It's not gonna be a draw. So let's not even pretend. Needless to say, she got her fair one, but it did not go as planned, okay? Which made her even more upset, because now she was sat there in the kitchen looking balder than I was 6 months ago. And I was just like, ma'am, you should have just sat there and ate your food, because now you look even crazier. Like, she literally got her wig snatched off her head. Her $900 wig was now on the counter. The drama continued, and Sway was there very, very, very much upset that she not only got her ass beat once, but twice. And you know she's real mad because she is literally trying to spit on Krishan, but it's landing on security. Like, don't be in there spitting on people. Like, hold your L and get gone. Like, why are you spitting? Like, are you serious? By the way, all the colors that I used were from the Barbie palette. So I used Boardwalk, and then I used the pink, hot pink color in there, and I used the blue color. And that's the only eyeshadow palette that I've used so far. So Rock gets to telling Sway that she is too old to be behaving this way. Rock is like 20, 22. Persuasion is 32, so she got 10 years on her. Rock isn't lying, but at the end of the day, it's not like she initiated the fight with Rock. Rock definitely was, you know, the one who initiated the physical altercation, instead of dealing with it like an adult, talking like, hey, why are you accusing me of being dirty? She was gonna let her hand speak and ask questions later, and I'm not even mad at her for it, because it was so unwarranted the way Sway was behaving to begin with. So as they are in the kitchen, there is security and production and cameras everywhere, and Rock starts calling Sway a stripper and telling her she sells her cocoa melon. And Persuasion's like, and like, what's your point? And I'm just like, yeah, this is not going well for Sway at all. The bar, if it existed, it was in hell, but I don't feel like the bar was existing. It was really just all over embarrassing, because first you get knocked into the sink. Then you ask for a fair one and lose your wig. You weren't wearing a wig cap, your hair wasn't brushed. So now you're in the kitchen looking a hot mess in front of all these people on national television. Shout out to Zeus Network one time. Now you're being told that you're an escort, you're a prostitute. And obviously, if that's your truth and you want to walk in it, you walk in it. As much as she was trying to act like she was unbothered by that, she was bothered by it. We could tell she was bothered because she once again brought up somebody that has nothing to do with anything. She brought up Blueface again. She wasn't calling him by name. She just kept saying, you're nigga. And I'm like, well, he ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He not here. Why does she keep bringing this man up? And it kind of confirmed my theory from last week that she's jealous of Krishan. So in the comment section, you guys were telling me that she was cool with Blueface's baby mama, and that's why she was picking on Krishan. But if that's the case, then I'm not really sure why she then started to say that she was effing on Blueface 2 weeks ago. And I was like, what? She tells Krishan that her coochie was in Blueface's mouth 2 weeks ago. And I'm sat at home thinking like, you should have kept that to yourself. You're 32, Blueface is 25, and beyond that, Blueface is clearly somebody that has multiple sex partners. So you tell me why you're allowing a man with multiple sex partners to eat you out. Where they do that at? You're not afraid? Look how many rappers have been revealed to have herpes. And you are sat there letting Blueface, who has admittedly had sex with thousands of women. I think that's what he said. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hundreds or thousands. You let him do what to your what? Girl, bye. That's embarrassing. So Sway told on herself here because this was obviously the real reason Baby was being mad. It had to do with Blueface. It had nothing to do with Krishan. She was wondering how the toothless bandit could bag a man and she couldn't. That's really what this boiled down to. And at this point, I'm like, this is how we know you didn't look at her like no little sis, because if you did look at her like a little sis, you would never come up out your mouth to tell her what you were doing with her man. Like, you were holding on and waiting for the moment to broadcast this. You look crazy. Now, please note that at this point in the episode, it had only been 6 minutes. It was only 6 minutes into the episode. We was still stuck in the kitchen and we couldn't get out of the kitchen because it didn't end here. So the drama is dying down, but it's still on and popping. So now I am taking Vanilla by MAC. Rolly says that Sway was pretty much asking for it because why are you over here saying all these things about Krishan, about Krishan's boyfriend? Why are you doing that? And Sway is still throwing stuff and everybody keeps telling her to stop throwing stuff. Natalie is like, we cannot mess this house up, but Sway is so mad. And I'm like, where does she keep getting stuff to throw anyway? Like, she keeps picking, I don't even know what she was throwing, but she was throwing stuff. And it was funny because Krishan kept flinching every time something would get thrown in her direction. She would flinch. Again, Sway is in denial. And she is saying, like, nobody effing talked to her because she can't believe that production allowed for Krishan to sneak her. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but she needs to watch the tape back because that lady did not sneak her. So she wants security to get out of her way. And Rock starts calling her ugly and telling her she's ugly from the inside out and blah, 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 blah. This statement I have to disagree with. Inside, internally, she's definitely dealing with some things and maybe she needs to rewire that inside. But I think Sway is beautiful. She definitely is very beautiful on the outside, but inwardly, she has some work to do. Sway starts telling Rock, you don't even have a dental plan. Like, I don't know if she was trying to allude to the fact that Rock is broke. She was just basically rebuttaling because Rock had been saying that she is ugly. And so Rock is like, isn't it funny how the person that is talking the most is the one that got beat up? And that's usually how it goes. It really is, because people be mad. You beat somebody up, what else are they gonna say? They're gonna just keep talking. You would think they would learn to shut up, but that's not how this goes. That's the way love goes. This is the part I wasn't prepared for. Using my beauty blender with these extendo nails. Girl, what is happening? It's hard, girl. I'm trying not to poke myself in the damn eye. So now that Sean is telling Sway she's big, obviously big mad, Sway gets to throwing stuff again. And I'm like, if this lady don't stop pretending she's Dennis the Menace and throwing all these things, like, get her a slingshot, please, because clearly she has anger issues. So now everybody is telling her, you need to stop throwing stuff. Like, Slim is like, you need to cut it out. The walls in the house ain't do nothing to this lady. Krishan did something to you. You're not hitting her when you're throwing the stuff. Stop throwing things. Learn how to communicate, because the fact of the matter was she brought this on herself. She didn't have to go bothering Krishan. She bothered that lady. And when Krishan decided she was going to react how she reacted, not that how she reacted was healthy either, but when she decided to react because this girl was picking on her the whole damn day and they just met, the ass whooping was warranted. People like to throw rocks and hide their hands. And that's exactly what Sway was doing. So now that the drama is slowly dying down. Sway is trying to prove that she is bad by switching from her bust down wig to now a bald look. So she heads upstairs, getting her mousse out her bag, and she's brushing that hair into a short look. So of course Slim is downstairs and she is telling Rock, like, you effed her up. And I'm like, why is everybody so damn messy? But it was evident to me that Slim probably wasn't really feeling Sway. Rolly was in agreement with me that Sway should have just packed up and left because it was giving embarrassing. This situation did not play out in Persuasion's favor at all. And Stevie Wonder could see that, okay? I'm back to using my Quo foundation. And obviously to color correct, I use LA Girl. So Sway is still upstairs, yapping her gums as she tries to coif her hair into a better style. Because under the wig, it was not done at all. And she's upstairs and she is talking as though she is the one that won the fight. And a couple of girls are upstairs with her. So Anne's upstairs, Natalie's upstairs as Sway is flying off the handle and cussing about Krishan and what went down. And the way she was talking, you would really think that she beat Krishan's ass when it was in fact the opposite. Not once, but twice. So while they're upstairs, Anne is holding the Blueface tumbler. She's holding Krishan's cup that she had been drinking out all day. And Sway tries to rip it from Anne's hands and is like, break that ish. And I'm just like, why is she trying to damage the girl's property? That's how mad she was. And I'm like, you're too old for that, because we seen that on Bad Girls Club. People loved to damage other people's stuff. And that was one of my biggest issues with Bad Girls Club. That's why I said, if I was ever on that show, I would have had my stuff locked up, because you guys are not about to damage my stuff. Like, the Claremonts literally had to sue Bunim Murray because they allowed their stuff to get damaged. Like, they went out of their way to allow those girls to go and throw their expensive things in the tub and pee on it and put food on it, and it was actually ridiculous what happened that season. The way that Sway was trying to damage the property was crazy to me. I'm like, you are way too old for that. Like, beyond too old for that. Like, just accept that you lost the fight and move on. There's no need for you to try to break the girl's cup. She was showing her ass. She really was. So Anne was like, yeah, we're not doing that. Don't even try. And she guarded that cup with her life. She really did. Now, as I'm watching this, I'm like, this is why Zeus is way better than Bunim Murray ever was. Because if this happened on Bad Girls Club, they would have already have escorted this girl off of the property. She would have got sent home, and it's the first damn day. And also, they would have had them do the hotel thing. Like, it would have just been ridiculous. And so Zeus is already proving to be the superior version of Baddies or Bad Girls Club. I'm surprised Bunim Murray has not tried to sue Natalie, or have they? She probably approached them with the show first and they didn't budge on it. So then she went this route, which is probably way better for her. So after all is said and done, Rock wants to now, you know, call her man because why is Sway saying that she slept with him and that he was doing that with her? Krishan actually says that she's being a groupie. And that's true, because even if she did have relations with Blueface, why was she so pressed to tell his lady, his girlfriend, about it? Like, it was actually weirdo behavior. Krishan actually calls Sway a liar. She basically says she never sat on Blueface's face. And we will never know, because Blueface is obviously not going to admit that. But like, if it's not true, for Sway to be lying on her coochie is crazy. You gonna sit here and lie about having sex with somebody just to make their girlfriend mad? Yeah, no, honestly, I have to hope that she really did sleep with Blueface, because I am not putting mouths on my coochie that are not supposed to be there to prove a point. Like, I'm not doing it. There is not enough sexual liberation in the world to make me say I slept with somebody that I did not indeed sleep with. That's fan behavior for sure. At this time, like in her confessional and stuff, Sean also starts to call Aladria or Sway out on her inconsistencies, because she started off by saying Krishan was dirty. Then she moved to your nigga embarrasses you. And then to finish it off, she's changed to I slept with him. He was eating my coochie. So it's a lot going on there. We do actually have to question Sway. We do, because it's like, what? Well, which is it? Like, what are you mad at? We don't even know. So in her confessional, Rock is like, obviously she wants to be me, and it's okay. It's all right. Like, just say that. Say you want to be me. Say you want my life. You want my lifestyle. You don't have to be lying about sleeping with my man. You don't have to live in a fantasy world, girl. So she was reading her down in that confessional. She really was. But yeah, Sway going out sad. Natalie ends up coming downstairs, because remember, she was upstairs when Aladria was brushing her hair. She ends up coming downstairs and she's talking to the other girls, like Rolly, I think Slim's there. There's a few girls there, and she's like, that was too much. That was too much. While she's telling them that, she brings up the fact that Sarah is coming to the house. Like, Sarah's on her way, and everybody's like, what the frig? Why on earth is Sarah coming to the house? And so Jayla and Slim are not feeling Sarah coming to the house. They're like, whoa, what for? Like, basically saying all Sarah does is bring drama, blah, 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 blah. And that's not what the type of time they're supposed to be on. So at this point, Natalie gets to acting real tough. Like, she basically starts telling them, you know, when Sarah gets here, this is the type of time I'm about to be on. Like, in Sarah's face, all these things, and she's acting real tough. Now, Natalie has always fought. She's always fought. That's not a new thing for her, but she is getting older, so I don't know why she's still carrying on this way. But because of what Sarah did, I guess if she hasn't seen her in a while, she's gonna want to fight her. Like, you're not about to host no damn funeral for me online. Like, you're just not gonna do it. Like, that's crazy. In fact, it's unheard of. And so Rock is there sitting with Anne in one of the bedrooms, and she's telling Anne that her hands are swollen, and Anne's looking at her hands. It dawned on me that I actually kind of like Anne when she's not doing too much. She's actually really likable. And when she's not shoving things down her throat for clout, like she said, she was a professional clout chaser. When she's just chilling and just having conversation, she seems like cool, you know, my kind of girl. I doubted a last girl. Natalie comes and basically tells them, you know, Sarah's coming, and for Krishan to chill in her room. And in this moment, Natalie is trying to say she's the baddest bitch, and, you know, she mops bitches and all these things. And I'm like, okay. And Krishan was saying how she wanted to watch, but Natalie was telling her that she has to just chill in her room for now. She wasn't gonna get to see the fight. And Anne apparently wants to beat up Sarah too. And I'm like, Anne has beef with Sarah? I thought Anne was a new cast member. What is Sarah doing that everybody wants to fight her? So fast forward, Natalie is in the living room awaiting Sarah's arrival. She starts yelling to the other girls in the house about how, you know, Sarah was dead wrong, and how Sarah put out some 99 chapter online book thing about her, and each was like an hour long. Sarah has too much time on her hands, girl. Like, what is happening? And Natalie talks about how when Sarah was carrying on with all that foolishness online, she never said anything about it. She never addressed it. She kept quiet. She kept it cute. She kept it on mute. All these things. She doesn't understand why Sarah is trying to pop up here to have this conversation with her. So then she goes as far as to say that Sarah planted condoms under Natalie's bed and was trying to mess with Natalie's marriage. And I'm like, whoa, that's rather deep. I'm like, whatever happened with Sarah was too much. I don't even think their friendship can be saved, because that's next level. One thing if you don't like me, but leave my family out of it. Like, what? And so Natalie accuses Sarah of wanting to slide into her man's DM because she was saying that Sarah was basically plotting against her to try to end Natalie's marriage so that Natalie would end up divorced, blah, 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 blah. So Natalie starts yelling at all the girls in the house. I think she was just taking out her anger, but she's yelling at all the girls in the house and basically telling them, like, she's a boss, her man's not going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what's happening? Like, I was confused. I'm like, why is she yelling at the girls in the house like the girls want her man? I was literally standing there like, ma'am, I can assure you, nobody wants your husband. Nobody wants your husband, at least not the people in the house. Like, no. So the girls are chiming into what Natalie's saying. Nobody presses Natalie about what she's saying. I think she was a little drunk. They basically were encouraging her foolishness and telling her, like, you know, no long talking with Sarah. Make sure it's durru. And they started quoting Gutta from Bad Boys. So they basically are like, make sure you whip her ass. Like, do not let her leave this house in one piece. The girls were with the shits, okay? They were like, please beat Sarah up. Do what you gotta do. And so Natalie is sitting on the couch now and she's just going on and on about how Sarah is trash. So as Natalie's sitting on the couch, she begins to wrap her hair up. She has indeed removed her necklaces. So remember, she was talking about, let me take my chains off, let me take my chains off, because she was getting prepared for battle. So she is not wearing any necklaces. She is wrapping her hair up and things are about to get ghetto. They really were. So Sarah's at the door and the security tells her and her security, we need to do a pat down, and they ask them, if you guys have any weapons, you need to go and put them in your vehicle. You cannot come inside the house with your weapons. Her and her security head over to her truck or the whatever she arrived in, and she actually did have a pistol in her bag. And I'm like, is this for TV? Like, why are you showing up here with a gun in your bag? She did indeed have a weapon on her and she removed it. Her security removed his. They put it in the car and then they allowed them to come into the house. So immediately I was taken extremely aback, okay, by Sarah's teeth. They look like chiclets. They're so big, and she looked very scary to me. Like, it was very much giving Annabelle. I don't know what she was thinking getting those damn teeth, but she looks very scary. And she's like, oh, Miss Nunn. And I'm like, what is happening? Oh, why is you here? That's the only question I had. Like, what is really going on here? Why is she here? Natalie is obviously not impressed, and she's basically like to Sarah, why are you smiling? What is funny? Like, she gets it cracking right away. It really was no long talking. She's like, why are you smiling? I don't really know why you're here. What could you possibly have to say to me after what you did online? So Sarah tells Natalie that she is just a happy person. She's just a happy person. She was trying to say that is why she's smiling. And I'm like, one thing that irritates somebody that's mad is if you are smiling. So she was definitely doing it to provoke her. So I'm puzzled at this point. Natalie starts to ask Sarah what kind of medication she's on. She's like, what medicine are you on? Alluding to the fact that Sarah is indeed crazy and needs to be medicated. She tells Sarah it's giving crazy. Sarah is acting confused and she's like, because I'm a happy person? Like, she's like, so because I'm smiling, I'm crazy? Like, what exactly is giving crazy about me? And so I'm scoping the scene and I notice Natalie is not really playing because she has her Jordans on. Like, she literally has on her, I think they were Space Jams. And I'm like, ooh, not the 11s, girl. Those are some ass-whooping shoes. She should have actually had on some black Air Forces. That's what she really should have had on. So she starts pressing in to Sarah and saying, why are you here? And telling her, like, what really do you want to talk about? Because I want to stomp on your ass. And I'm like, oh, she means business. She really listened to the people when they said, don't talk, just fight. So in the scene, they're actually sitting very far. This is the biggest couch I ever seen in my life. They are sitting very far. Sarah's on one side, Natalie's all the way on the other side. Obviously, this was done strategically. But let's be real. Zeus knew what time it was going to be. They knew what time it was going to be. Lots of yelling is happening. Sarah's teeth are so big that they are reminding me of the girl on, was it Disney Channel? That had all the saliva in her mouth all the time. Like, she was talking like this because her teeth are so big. She couldn't get her... I'm like, ma'am, if you don't go back and get them veneers fixed, please. She literally couldn't talk properly because the teeth were taking over the space in her mouth. So the conversation is progressing and she is accusing Natalie of trying to get her canceled. So she feels like she did what she had to do. She hosted a funeral, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this conversation is tired, okay? It's tired. Tired. Just like Jalen would say, it's tired. It's giving tired. I'm like, yeah, I'm over this. Like, let's either square up or get gone, because I really did not understand why Sarah was there. So Natalie's like, what did I try to get you canceled from? The culture? You're not a part of it. I said, Miss Nunn, you are shaking the table. Not you are shaking the table, telling this lady she is not a part of the culture. And she's like, and you will never be a part of it. My only thing here is when you guys were friends, you weren't saying that she wasn't a part of the culture. So you were actually allowing her to be a part of the culture while you guys were friends, and now that you're not friends, you're saying that. So to me, it's giving fake, but that's none of my business. Needless to say, by saying that she's not a part of the culture, Sarah gets visibly upset and she starts yelling, which let us know that Sarah indeed wants to be a part of the culture. It's evident in who she dates. It's evident in what she's done to enhance her body, how she's done to enhance her body, who she keeps around her. It's evident. This is not new. A lot of the people want to be a part of the culture, and the fact is that they really are not supposed to be or can't be. But I don't think that Natalie was saying those things when they were friends, so I don't think she should be saying them now. That's my only argument for that. So when Natalie calls Sarah out for this, Sarah starts screaming about Natalie going to an all-white Catholic school, the fact that Natalie's mother is indeed white, and that her name is Karen. Your mom's name is Karen! And I'm like, why did this strike such a nerve that Natalie told her that she can't be a part of the culture? Why are you mad at that, ma'am? So at this point, Natalie gets pissed off. She throws a drink to blind Sarah. Okay, she throws the drink in Sarah's face and gets to swinging. However, when I'm watching it, I'm like, but is this real? Because it didn't look like her punches were connecting. I'm like, did she miss on purpose? Like, what is going on here? I actually didn't really think Natalie was gonna get it poppin', but she did. So at this point, this was the first time in the episode I slowed the footage down. And the reason I slowed it down was because I thought that my eyes were seeing her punches not connecting when she was right here in her face. So I was like, why are your punches not connecting? And your nails are not long. Like, there's just no excuse here. What is going on? And so when I slowed the footage down, her hits were definitely not connecting. She wasn't really punching her. I was like, what in the WWE is this? However, the scene is real because Sarah's on the ground and Natalie is indeed getting some hits in and trying to stomp on Sarah. And Sarah's like, get me up, get me up, get me up, get me up. She's talking to the security guards to get her off the ground. And I'm like, this is embarrassing. Nat's boobs are out, like her tits are out because she was swinging. So they have it blurred. And Natalie is like, get the F out of this house. You're not welcome here. So Natalie is like, get her out of here. Get that white bee out of here. I'm not gonna lie. It made me wonder if Natalie has some repressed issues about her mom, her upbringing, because a lot of Caucasian mothers that raise their mixed children are very problematic towards the very child that will grow up to essentially 9 times out of 10 identify as a black woman versus as a biracial woman or as a mixed race woman. A lot of biracial people just identify as black. I was starting to wonder about what Natalie's upbringing might have looked like because she was putting such an emphasis on what's her face, being white. So I got a little curious there and I would like to know more. So of course, Sarah continues to scream about Natalie's mom being a white woman and that Natalie is half white. I don't know that it's okay for a white person to try to remind a biracial person about their blackness or lack thereof. I don't know. I don't think it's right, but because we see black people doing the same, is it the same thing or is it very different because white people have not been oppressed? White people never had to hide their whiteness. So for a white person to tell a mixed person, let me remind you, you are half white. It almost seems a little crazy. I don't think that it is for Sarah to remind Natalie of that she is half white simply because Natalie is telling Sarah, yes, I am half white, but you're not black at all. So you need to relax. I don't know. What do you guys think? So at this point, Sarah starts going in on Natalie's weight. And I talked in the last video about the same thing. Only I was wondering, genuinely wondering, is Natalie gaining weight for health reasons she's not disclosed? Or does she just like In-N-Out Burger? Like, what is going on with her? Does she have a thyroid issue or PCOS? But I feel like it's underlying. I don't think that she is just eating fast food and gaining weight. Then again, she is on the road a lot, so that could be another issue. But it's not like she doesn't have money. She can afford surgery. And she's choosing not to get it. So that's why I also feel like there is other issues there that are health related where her weight's concerned. So surgery wouldn't really make sense if you have an issue like PCOS or something and you get surgery and you're just going to gain the weight regardless. There's no point in getting surgery. So I really do feel like something is wrong health-wise. So Sarah starts telling Natalie, I got you an influencer deal. Go get you a jaw reduction, get you some liposuction. Basically projecting at this point because obviously we know Sarah has been nipped, tucked, sucked. From one surgery body to another, definitely out of line. Natalie that she needs facial reconstruction, all this. I'm like, well damn, y'all with friends. Where is this coming from? Natalie tells her, I don't need anything from you. So you can keep your little influencer deal. And Natalie tells her straight up, I don't need surgery. I am a woman through and through. From top to bottom, I'm still that girl no matter what body I'm sporting. And I was like, I know that's right, Natalie. You better tell her. So at this point, Sarah's claws are out. She is reading Natalie down and she's telling Natalie, good for you now that Zeus is paying you so you don't have to suck that Nigerian dick anymore. And I'm like, whoa, things are getting heated. The girls are not fighting fair. So at this point, Natalie's pissed off and she's like, Sarah, is there a reason that you came here? Do you want to fight? Like, we're not even gonna, I had nothing left to say to you. Do you want to fight? If you want to fight, we can squabble. Like, let's go. But I'm not gonna keep arguing with you. When Natalie asked her this, the look on her face was absolutely, positively blank. She looked scared. She didn't want to fight. Because if she wanted to fight, she would have thrown hands. She wouldn't have been telling security, get me up, get me up, get me up. Like, that part of the fight was very embarrassing. I'm like, yeah, no. Because you see, Natalie is clearly upset and gonna keep running at you. So why don't you just leave? There was nothing that Sarah was there to say to Natalie. So instead of answering Natalie's question, because obviously she didn't want to fight, she pulls out this folder. And in the folder, it looks like she has Natalie's pre-op photos. They never give us a close-up of the photos, but they were somebody's pre-op photos, okay? For both body surgery and face surgery. People have been calling Natalie Nunn the Crimson Chin for years. Like, they have been making fun of her chin for years. She's not gotten jaw reduction surgery like Kylie Jenner. Like, it's not like she can't get the surgery. So what is one more person saying something to her about her chin? Natalie's strong, girl. Okay, she's strong because they've been attacking her about this damn chin of hers. Natalie boxes the papers out of Sarah's hands. Zeus knows they are très messy, okay? Très messy. Because this is crazy. This lady is literally the creator and executive producer of the show. It's there in plain English in the credits. So why is Zeus allowing this? I don't know, but this is another reason why she really shouldn't be a cast member on a show that she's an executive producer on. And so the security is between them when Sarah's holding these papers. I'm like, this is precisely the problem with social media, because the fact that Sarah is even suggesting that Natalie get surgery, whether she likes her or not, is problematic. This is the problem with like social media as well. Everybody's gonna do what they want to do. I have a mom bod right now. I'm loving my body as much as I can. I'm not opposed to surgery, but I'm also not so insecure in what my body has become over the last 4 years that I'm going to go and get a BBL so that I could look like a wisdom tooth like everybody else. Like, natural bodies can still exist. I don't understand why Sarah is pushing the surgery onto Natalie. Whether she's 300 pounds or 150 pounds, whether her ass is fat or flat, why is Sarah trying to hurt Natalie by coming for her appearance? If you're gonna come for something, come for her character. Say you're childish, say you're immature, say whatever you want to say about her character if she has a character flaw, but leave the bodies out of it. Like, not everybody has to get surgery. Not everybody has to look like you. You don't have to push that onto her. Natalie again refuses the surgery and says, I don't need to get anything fixed. There's nothing wrong with me. God made me perfect in his image, all that. Okay, that's what she's on. That's the type of time she's on. And I'm like, yeah, period. Keep in mind, we're only 20 minutes into the episode and all of this has transpired. So at this point, Sarah begins to spin the tequila, because it wasn't spilling tea. Okay, she was spilling tequila. I was like, what? Oh my gosh. Seriously, with friends like these, who needs enemies? If you're going to go on a trip to Dubai, one of them princes take doo-doos on you, and you go with your friend, and your friend gets doo-dooed on too, and when you come back, y'all are both spilling each other's tea. What is wrong with y'all? Take it to the grave, girl. Like, take it to the grave. So Sarah starts saying Natalie is a whore that sucks dick for money and brings that same money back to her man, and that same mouth back to her man, her husband. And I'm like, whoa, we're going into uncharted territories. Like, she was not trying to hold nothing down, okay? So as she's accusing Natalie of this, she's like, how you get, and then it cuts to Natalie in confessional. And that let me know right there that they were protecting Natalie from something else being exposed. The way that it cut so abruptly and went to confessional, we never get to hear what Sarah had to say. I said, yeah, they're hiding something. So because Sarah accused Natalie of being an escort, Natalie's like, well, since I'm an escort, let me escort you out. Let me escort you off the property, man, because you're doing too much. You're doing absolutely too much. So it looked like Sarah was gesturing like she's gonna pick up a bar stool. So Natalie tells her, do it. And Sarah indeed does pick up the bar stool like she's gonna hurt Natalie with it, throw it at Natalie. I don't freaking know. They were just doing too much. But like, Sarah, if you're not gonna throw hands, don't pick up no bar stool. Fight fair or don't fight at all. So Natalie gets to laughing. She's like, ha, ha. Look at this crazy white bitch. Like, that's what she was saying. I'm like, oh my God. This is what you guys have subjected me to? I'm just kidding. I'm loving it. So Sarah starts accusing Natalie of sucking dick in the Jeep that's in the driveway and saying that the guy, whoever got their dick sucked, didn't even pay Natalie to get his dick sucked. And I'm just like, whoa. And so here's my thing. A lot of these girls on this show, not on this show, are doing something strange for some change. Like, we been knew what type of time Sarah was on from the time she was in the Bad Girls Clubhouse. I don't really know why she is bringing these things up like it's foreign to her. Like she's above it or something. Like, keep it on the playground. If you know you're into that and you know your friend was into that, don't be spilling that kind of tea. Because what is the point? You doing it, she doing it, who cares? And to be quite frank, my personal feelings is if this stuff that Sarah is saying is false, Natalie needs to sue her for defamation of character. However, if it is actually things that have happened and Natalie is indeed going overseas and doing these things for money, she can't sue for defamation of character. Sarah may have evidence to prove it. If she doesn't sue, I feel like that speaks volumes. So Natalie starts to gather Sarah and telling her, like, you did all the surgery, you're telling me to get surgery, you did all these surgeries, but you can't even get a man. Like, you can't keep a man, you can't get a man, period. So why don't you keep your surgery talk? So then she tells her, you can't even make facial expressions and you look like the Joker. You are a joke. So then Sarah rebuttals and tells Natalie, you got your whole body done. You got lipo, you're still fat. She then starts to talk about how Natalie's titties are still saggy after a breast lift. And this one actually pissed me off because Natalie is a mother and has sacrificed her body for her child's nourishment. And so for a woman to go to another woman and talk about her titties is sagging is crazy. It's crazy because Sarah don't have no damn kids that she was breastfeeding. I can't with the body shaming. Like, we're not gonna shame natural bodies because at the end of the day, your titties would be sagging too if you didn't get the surgery. And you ain't even got no kids. So it's like, that's crazy. Leave the boobs out of it. Like, the boobs ain't do nothing to nobody. Free the nipple, girl. That being said, if Natalie did indeed get her body done, like Sarah is accusing her of, I think Natalie needs to get a refund. She doesn't look like she had surgery at all. It's going on and on. She tells Natalie, you know, you got lipo, you're still fat, your butt don't even look that good, and you got ass shots. And I'm like, Natalie's bum don't look like anything has been enhanced in it. I don't know. I really don't know. So Natalie is saying, like, I'm still here because Sarah's trying to say that she canceled Natalie while Natalie tried to cancel her. It's a dumb, petty, childish argument. And quite frankly, the argument itself was a waste of our time. So then Sarah says that the devil came back from its grave. So again, production, security, everybody trying to cool the situation down. Natalie picks up one of the papers that Sarah supposedly had, that Sarah had in the folders, and she pulls a sticky note off of it and basically says that Sarah is a liar. They sit them back down. Why? I don't know. They shouldn't have sat anybody back down. They should have got rid of Sarah and just went on with the night. Zeus was very much giving Denzel, I'm leaving here with something, okay? I am leaving here with something. They were like, we need the footage. We need the footage. So we're gonna make you guys sit back down again and try to start the conversation over from the top. So Natalie begins to call Sarah nuts, accuses her of being crazy, saying she needs medication or she's on medication, and then saying that Sarah's boyfriend, had been in Natalie's DMs telling her how crazy Sarah is. And so Sarah basically says, you're a liar. You don't even know who my man is. And Natalie's like, you're right, I don't know him, but he was in my DM. And so she's like, well, if you don't know who he is, then how do you know that he's my boyfriend? And so again, Natalie gets up and is ready to square up. Like, Zeus was wasting their time sitting these girls back on the couch. They really were. Sarah is in a stance like this and she's like, back up, Natalie. Like, she's scared. She doesn't want to fight. Do not be confrontational if you do not want to fight. You wanted to have the conversation. You said you were coming over to the house. You told Zeus you're gonna pull up on Natalie. For what? You know the girl wants to fight you. Why not leave? So she's telling Natalie to back up. Natalie's like, you back the F up. And Sarah tells Natalie, you're not the boss. And Natalie obviously didn't like that sentence because she jumps on Sarah again. This time, she is trying to punch her again. And again, I had to slow the footage down because I'm like, is she really trying to hit her or not? What is going on? I concluded that Natalie either cannot fight for real or this is completely staged and she doesn't actually want to beat Sarah up on camera, despite the fact that she seems genuinely angry. So the acting part is there, but the fake fighting is not. And if it's not fake fighting, I'm gonna need Natalie to take a fighting class. So Sarah ends up saying that Natalie's clothes are cheap. That's why her clothes are torn. They were definitely giving Fashion Nova, but like, she's chilling in the house. I don't understand what the problem is with Natalie's clothes right now. And Sarah says that Natalie is sneak attacking her. And I'm like, does nobody in this house know what sneak attacking is? Krishan did not sneak attack Eladria, and Natalie is not sneak attacking attacking Sarah. She is clearly in fight mode. She's dressed for fighting. Her hair is tied up. She's wearing her fight shoes. She's approaching you angry. She has an angry face. She's yelling at you. She's asked you if you want to fight. She is not sneaking you. So people need to stop using this term here after they get beat up. That's not a thing. Sarah then says she's trying to have a conversation. And Natalie's like, well, what do you want to talk about? There's nothing to talk about. And she starts saying, you talk too much. You talk too much. That's the problem. You do too much talking, Sarah. At this point, Sarah's calling Natalie a pathological liar. She's accusing Natalie of being a liar and basically trying to rewrite the narrative that Natalie had put out about her. So Sarah begins to say how she's the queen of receipts. And at this point, I was like, yeah, now I know you're lying because everybody knows I am the queen of receipts. Like, you're not about to sit up there on Zeus and say that you're the queen of receipts. You don't have receipts, Sarah. Like, literally the whole time she was talking, she's calling Natalie a pathological liar, but she's not saying what Natalie lied about. Who is the real liar here? So Nat just starts screaming that Sarah's a psycho, but then in that same way, I have to ask, what did Sarah do to be proven to be a psycho? Well, Natalie already said she made like a 99-part book thing online about Natalie's marriage, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's psychopathic behavior for sure. Trying to ruin Natalie's marriage is psychopathic behavior for sure. But when Sarah's calling her a pathological liar, she's not saying the details. That's why this whole argument was crazy and stupid and a waste of time. It's like, you guys aren't even saying anything. So Natalie was right to say, do you want to fight? Let's fight. And that really should have been it. So now, after all this, Sarah is starting to say she has no ill feelings towards Natalie. And I'm like, what? You just sat here, you called her every fat, ugly, bad body built in the book. You talked about what she's doing overseas. You talked about all these things and then said you have no ill feelings toward her. Like, do people listen to themselves? Like, what? You cannot say that you care for somebody, but then you are bringing their supposed pre-op surgery photos to expose them and embarrass them on TV. No way you care about them if that's what you're doing. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. She's talking out of both sides of her freaking neck. So now they sit down and Sarah brings on the crocodile tears. What is she crying for? I do not know. I'm amazed. But one thing about a Caucasian woman is they gonna cry, okay? They gonna cry on cue. So now Sarah starts to tell Natalie that she basically pushed her to do what she did because she was saying to Natalie over and over again, you're not being a good friend, you're not being a good friend, blah, 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 and Natalie was continuing to not be a good friend. So she then states that the relationship was toxic. I needed her to provide us with examples of what was happening. I have always felt like Natalie was definitely on the toxic side. There's a lot of reality show stars that have that toxic behavior, and Natalie definitely falls into that category. So I can imagine that her and Sarah did have some kind of toxic relationship. Hi, darling. Hi.
It's for your subscribers. Didn't you say last month it's for your subscribers? And
My subscribers?
You're not allowed to lose it.
Oh, hi. You smell like outside. Every time my kids come up in here, I'm like, y'all smell like outside. I can't take it. I cannot take the smell of outside on the children.
You look so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
In the mirror.
What's going on? Where did you guys go?
Are you wearing panties?
Oh, my Jesus. Where did you guys go?
To Bunny Rabbit.
You did? You went to Mommy Rabbit's?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We also went to a park.
You did?
Not close to our home.
Oh, what park?
The one that has the fins.
Can you do me a favor?
Two of the fins.
Oh, can you do me a favor?
Mm-hmm.
Go in your room and bring me the iPad charger. Quick.
Okay.
Hurry.
Why?
My phone's dying. So Sarah starts talking about why she made the book online and says that she has receipts of Natalie plotting against her in season 1. And because Sarah didn't want to do what Natalie wanted her to do for season 1, thank you, baby, she decided that she was going to publish that thing online about her instead.
I got somebody.
Who's that?
Minnie Mouse.
Yeah? What's she doing?
Ah! Your bum's sticking out.
You know what, Salem? Stop exposing my business. Come in like...
Hi! chair.
He is?
Yeah, what babies eat.
So Sarah says that she has receipts of Natalie wanting to do a whole Instagram campaign about her to cancel her. And she never plays it. She never takes it out her bag. Like, here are my receipts. So Natalie denies it. Honestly, that's what needed to happen. They needed to run the tapes, because stop saying you have receipts and then you're not pulling them out. I don't want to hear that you have receipts. I want to hear the receipts. Like, don't waste my time. Natalie starts telling her, you did all that stuff online and I never went in. I never went in. And Sarah's like, yes, you did, but I buried you. And then Natalie's like, if you buried me, then how are you here talking to me right now? And Sarah's like, the devil never dies. I'm like, okay, what are we talking about? Like, I really, like, this is taking up too much of the episode at this point. So now we are back into Margaritaville, where Natalie starts spilling Sarah's tea. And Natalie starts accusing Sarah of being the one who goes overseas to have sex for money and blah, blah, blah. At this point, I'm like, y'all is telling on each other. This is birds of a feather flocking together, period. So again, Natalie's in fight mode. This time, it's Sarah who launches her drink at Natalie. What's Natalie from head to toe, girl? So Natalie's pissed off. When Sarah throws the drink, security tackles Natalie and get the F off me, nigga. I could not deal. Oh my God. She's like, get the F off me, nigga. Sarah's like, well, you threw a drink on me. You threw a drink on me. You don't have to justify throwing the drink, Sarah. She threw the drink on you first. Why are you telling her that? Like, it matters. You threw your drink, own it. Don't even say, well, you did it first. Like, that's so childish. Just throw the drink. But make sure you throw your hands after, because why are you throwing your drink and then you're not fighting? You just threw your drink to throw your drink? Like, I'm exhausted. I'm even exhausted talking about it. So Natalie's like, get this hoe out my mother effing house. And Sarah's like, this is Zeus's house. And I'm just like, well, she got a point there. Can't argue there, because it's definitely not Natalie's house. It is a rental property for the purpose of the show, and they are damaging the property. Because how did Natalie tell Sway to stop throwing stuff, but they over here flipping the couches over? Like, none of the stuff in the house belongs to them. Very much giving Airbnb. So I don't know why they are doing so much on the first night. And we know the show is low budget this season, so I know they don't have the money to repair the damages, so they need to stop. So at this point, it's time for Sarah to finally leave. She gets to popping off, screaming to everybody goodbye, wishes Natalie good luck, says that she doesn't want to have to bury Natalie again. And Natalie's like, I hope you get home safe. I hope you get home safe. And I'm just like, well, everybody seems positive. She's wishing her well. The other one's wishing she gets home safe. Really, they wanted to tell each other the opposite. She did not want to tell her good luck, and she did not want to wish her to get home safe. She definitely wanted her to get into a car accident on her way home, because they hate each other. As Sarah is walking out the house, she is calling Natalie a whore and a slut. And I'm like, women got to do better. Women need to do better in 2022. Whores and sluts and all these language, like, do better. So they're not allowing Natalie to follow Sarah outside, but Natalie desperately wanted to go and follow Sarah outside, probably to try to beat her again. I don't know why, because her hits were not connecting. So at this point, Natalie grabs her phone. She probably wanted to contact her husband to tell him what the hell just happened. But Sarah's walking to her car, and she is leaving the place like she's confused. And I'm just like, is she serious? So she's talking about how she doesn't trust Natalie and how she doesn't like her, but she's not gonna sit there and be enraged. And I'm like, but you were upset. You were sitting there enraged and yelling at her that her mom's name is Karen, and you were clapping your hands and doing all this, and you were definitely upset. So either you are the queen of delusion, or they need to play the tapes back for you so you could see that you are not giving not enraged. She was definitely upset. So again, Sarah's accusing Natalie of being a compulsive liar. And at this point, I really want her to clue us in on what Natalie has lied about. She then stated that Natalie tried to get her canceled, and now that she's confronting her about it, she's denying it. And I was like, ooh, it's giving narcissism. It's giving Natalie is gaslighting, but we don't hear the tapes, so we need to see the proof. So Natalie starts screaming in the house about the next bitch that tries her, it's on. She is not dealing with anything that like Sarah, and basically giving them a forewarning. So Natalie says she's going to bed. She don't even go hop in the shower and wash the alcohol off of her onesie. She just gets right into bed. To me, the superiority complex is jumping out of Natalie. It always has, though, but it's jumping out here with her threatening the girls if they try anything like that. You know, it's on and popping. She's an exec on the show, but she's also a cast member, and this is further proof as to why she should not be both. So finally, we make it to the next morning. Roly Poly and Slim, so 10, are outside talking and smoking a blunt and basically just talking about the events that happened the night before. And their main conversation was around Sway and Krishan. So Krishan comes out and they're talking to her about the situation too and asking her like what she wants to do. And she's talking about how like she wants to have a conversation with Aladria, but she does not want to fight her anymore. She kind of just wants to get to the bottom of it. Krishan says she does not give a single rat's ass about what Sway is doing with her burnt up pussy. Okay, and I was like, not burnt up, child. Like, whoa, everybody is just coming for everybody on this show, and I'm like, I don't think at my big age I could participate in anything of the sort, because I couldn't imagine being at home watching the episodes air and somebody's over there calling my coochie burnt up. Like, what? As I'm watching this, I was trying to figure out, is Slim white? Is she Latina? Is she mixed? Like, what is Slim? I couldn't tell. I was trying to figure it out by looking at her hair, but she really just presents as white. So I want to know what is her makeup. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments. And so in this conversation, they end up telling Rock that Sway is obviously jealous of her, which we have seen from episode 1. She's jealous, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. In this conversation, Rock says that Persuasion's booty is nasty. She should probably go and have it adjusted. And so my final question for this scene is weed legal in Atlanta? Because they were smoking weed as though it was legal. They were not out there smoking cigarettes. So I need to know if weed is legal in Atlanta. I know some states it is, like I think in Oregon it's legal, but like I don't know where else. So Nat, Bree, and Jayla are upstairs in like I think Natalie's room, and they're talking about what happened the day before, and Natalie is basically telling them what happened with Sarah and how it all went down. Jayla gets to talking about how Persuasion was talking crap about Rock the whole entire day. So it seems like some people caught on, like Roly Poly and Jayla both caught on to the fact that she was talking mess about Krishan the whole time. It wasn't just she's messy. And literally they just met, so how are you coming up with that conclusion? So again, they get to talking to Bree about what happened on the bus with Anne and how Anne was kind of picking with her. And she gets emotional in this conversation because she's like, listen, I want to share my story, but I did shut down on the bus because nobody's going to tell my story for me. And I was processing. So she gets emotional because she's saying she's been pistol whipped, she's been kidnapped, you know, the worst of the worst. And so she's planning on sharing those things on the show, but like it wasn't for Anne to try to embarrass her out of her story. At this point, Bree is wearing Versace slippers and Natalie is wearing running shoes, and Natalie is problematic. So she asked Bree, what size do you wear? And she's like 8 or 8.5, I can't remember, 8. And so Natalie starts taking off her shoes because they wear the same size. And she's like, well, give me the Versace slippers and you can wear the new Nikes. And basically is preparing Bree to square up with Anne or confront Anne about what happened day before. And so just like she did on BGC, Bree had stated, look, I already bit my nails off. And she was in fight mode. So we will see what happens next week where that's concerned. So we're getting to the end of the episode now, and Sway is minding her business, laying on the couch, smoking her hookah pen. I look and I notice that her nails are also chewed off, which I'm not sure why. She had originally stated, like, you guys are lucky I didn't break any of my nails. So now I'm looking at her hands and I'm like, all of her nails are broken. So Anne comes to talk to her, and the conversation starts off fine until Anne gets to being Anne. She's like, I see you got your wig back on. And it very much gave, I see you got your maid outfit on like you always do. And I was like, yeah, Anne is definitely a little shit disturber. She's problematic. So she's like, I'm not gonna lie to you, you got your ass beat. And I'm like, why is she bothering this lady? She's over here minding her business, smoking her hookah pen. So Sway tries to run the narrative again that she did not get beat up and that it was a sneak attack. And again, I'm sat there like, okay, whatever makes you comfortable, whatever lets you sleep at night, whatever you gotta tell yourself, girl, but you was not snuck. It was no sneaking involved in the Rock and Sway fight. There was no sneaking. So Anne corrects her and she's like, yeah, no, even round 2, like, you got your ass beat, period. The first one was slow reaction time. The second fight, you just got beat up. And so Anne is in her confessional and she is saying that Sway is entitled and ghetto, or entitled and hood. She mimics her by saying, she's like, I'm loud and you're dirty, mocking Sway. And I wasn't sure how I felt about this because I just wasn't sure. I don't know how Anne grew up, but the way that she said that Sway was hood and entitled, it kind of blew me because by the end of this scene, she's very much giving ghetto herself. So I'm not really sure why she was in confessional saying that. That being said, Persuasion is definitely very much loud. She says in her confessional that Persuasion deserved the ass beating. I personally do feel the whooping was warranted as well because Krishan had to make it known she's not the one to play with. You guys are not gonna pick on me just because I'm the youngest girl in the house. Not gonna happen. Just because I'm toothless, y'all not about to do all that. Like, it's not a thing for me. So Anne continues to kind of provoke Sway, and I'm like, what's Anne's problem with Persuasion? She provokes her by saying, you got your wig punched off of your head. Persuasion's like, no, she grabbed it off. She yanked it off. It wasn't, she didn't punch it off my head. She's like, you got punched out of your wig. And I'm giggling. I'm like, oh my goodness, leave her alone. And so when she said that and Sway was like, no, she grabbed it off my head. She did not punch me out of the wig. I went back to the beginning of the fight, beginning of the clip, to see if she was punched out of the wig or if Krishan pulled the wig off of her head. And the answer is that Krishan did indeed pull it off of her head, but because she was swinging at the same time, it looked like she got punched out of the wig, but really she just quick with her hand. So she had her hand on her hair and her other hand in her face. And that's what happened. I don't know. Krishan was on her Popeyes combo ting. Like, she was giving Persuasion everything that she came for and then some. She gave her a chicken breast, a leg, a thigh. She gave her the mashed potatoes with the gravy. She gave her everything. She gave her the french fries and the biscuit, honey. Persuasion got what she came for. So Anne is being messy, and as Persuasion's talking to her, she's like, so did anything connect? Like, she was asking Persuasion if any of the hits that she threw at Krishan connected, and Persuasion's not even hearing her. She's not hearing the shade, and I don't understand why it's not registering, or if she just didn't care and she's just not trying to play into the foolishness. I was wondering why Anne was behaving this way towards Persuasion, but it was all about to be unveiled. Pretty much what happened was Anne overheard Bree and Persuasion talking in their room about her, or about the situation that happened on the bus, and she was basically confronting her about it now. So she's saying, like, you guys need to keep my name out of your mouths. Anne is drunk as hell, apparently, but I didn't notice that she was drunk. I thought she was completely fine and sober, but in confessional, she's admitting that she's drunk, and I think that's highly problematic that I couldn't even tell that she was under the influence when she was talking to Persuasion. So either she wasn't under the influence and she's trying to lie and say she was because of the way the fight goes, or she is so high tolerance that even when she's drunk, she seems sober. I thought she was just messy. I didn't think that it was because she was drunk, she was feeling courageous. Persuasion is talking to Anne, and she's trying to get a word in, but she can't really because Anne keeps cutting her off. And she's trying to tell Anne, like, wasn't nobody talking about you? You were literally there in the conversation with Brie. Like, why are you saying that? Blah, blah, blah. And she's so much chilling. Her guard is completely down. She's literally just laying on the couch smoking her pen. I don't even think that she was mentally prepared for the foolishness that Anne was about to do. Like, I wasn't even prepared. I'm like, where did this come from? So all of a sudden, out of literally nowhere, Anne pops up like a freaking spider monkey or a flying squirrel. She pops up off of the couch that she's sitting on and pounces onto Persuasion and starts trying to fight her to the point where the couch tips over. And I'm like, what kind of cheap couches are these that all the couches in this house are just tipping over? Like, what is happening? They need to, like, stabilize the couches. Anyway, she gets on top of her. Security obviously comes right away. And so it looks like next week, when we see the continuation of the fight between Persuasion and Anne is gonna get her ass beat by Persuasion. And then further into that episode, we're gonna see, probably at the end of that episode, we're gonna see Rolly and Anne squaring up. And I'm just like, one thing I'm not gonna do is fight anybody that's way bigger than me. It's just not a thing. Like, Anne is like this, and Rolly is like, they make the new 10. So, I don't know. But Anne is obviously telling people and showing people she will step to anybody. But Anne is suffering with mental illness at this point because I've been told you she needed guidance, prayer, a walk with Jesus, and she's over here doing the most. So that is pretty much it for this episode of Baddies. They're doing good with the season. I ain't gonna lie. This is better than Bad Girls Club ever was. And I'm excited to see next week. And yeah, shout out to Zeus because I love the fact that if you fight, you don't go home. On Bad Boys, they was tussling, okay? They was tussling on Bad Boys. And nobody got sent home, but Jonathan did end up leaving. But like, he came and he tore the house down. Highly problematic, but he was one of my favorite characters on Bad Boys. I loved Gutta. I loved Jonathan, Rel, Andrew Caldwell. Those are my 4 faves on the show. Andrew didn't stay. Jonathan didn't stay. So all I had was Rel and Gutta, and I was okay with that. But like, I feel like Bad Boys could have been so much better than it was. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Baddies. I will see you next week, and I will also see you guys tomorrow for P-Valley. I love you all, and I will definitely see you in the next one.